Mr. Stevens, thank you for that clarification. I would add to your comments that flow report that was provided to us by the State Water Resources Control Board in its executive summary characterized it as unbalanced and incomplete. So we don't want to base too many things on incomplete and unbalanced information here.
Don.
Mr. Chairman, we have concluded the
Mr. Chair?
request for...
May I make one more point?
Ms. Garber.
Yes, please.
Just to reiterate 2 points that we made earlier to remind the Council. One is that BDCP is a separate project by law from the Delta Plan. And the second point is Mr. Mills' point about the staff report that says water rights will not be affected. We actually, in preparing for this, found that sentence and elaborated on it earlier today to say that existing water rights would not be affected without a major public process in which the State Water Resources Control Board will balance all beneficial uses, taking into account local needs. So we did notice that, and that's it.
Okay. Other questions, members? Comments, staff? Mr. Natoli.
I got a question, Chris, or maybe for Ellen, because she covered it earlier, but relates to the certainly Mr. Wright's comments, and you touched on that, but on the BDCP was covered in the foreseeable cumulative impacts section. Is that correct now? So has there been any new information? So there's been information that's been released kind of in spurts here, the second of those yesterday, as it relates to BDCP. Again, it's a work in progress. There were some, obviously, project descriptions as a part of that. I guess if you just could further clarify, because I know the points, obviously, Mr. Wright on behalf of Friends of the River, but others have raised relates to how the Delta Plan allows for what's been termed improved conveyance and meeting the co-equal goals, and I guess I want to be clear about that point. So I'd like you to...
Yes, we're aware of that issue, and we're monitoring it. We have a placeholder in the final EIR for whether any significant new information comes out, and it will be addressed in the final EIR.
And by the way, the staff brought both the original EIR, the 2 volumes of the EIR, and the supplemental volume, and one of the sections, and I must confess I don't remember the number of the section, deals specifically with that question, and there's some narrative there might be worth looking at when we take a break.
Okay. But to your point, there's
yes.
an opening there that you're, again, as you're saying, monitoring, and if there is new information, because I guess the third release is going to be available, obviously, before we're scheduled to take action in May.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct. We're monitoring it. Whatever we know when we go to press will be reflected in the final EIR.
Okay. Can I just follow? So, but what if there was new information that was of the level of significance, then you would advise us, and then could that trigger something?
It could, if it were a new...
And what could it trigger, then?
If there were a new significant impact or a substantial increase in the significance of an impact, which is usually considered to be that it goes from significant to significant and unavoidable, CEQA would, depending on the timing, might require recirculation of a discussion of that issue. It seems unlikely because the discussion in Section 23 bracketed the whole range of alternatives that were proposed at that time. And again, this is a program-level document.
And the BDCP, as Ellen said, is analyzed at as a cumulative basis, not because it's not part of the Delta Plan. It's evaluated at a cumulative basis. So the likelihood of what she said happening, while it's possible, we will be careful to monitor that, is less likely than if we were actually analyzing if we were DWR, it'd be different.
And it takes into account the, I guess, rather unique, although it's specified in legislation, relationship of the BDCP to the Delta Plan, and how in all those various ways that both the council's role in the BDCP, but also then what's been specified, and the fact that obviously a project level is going to take into account impacts, but it's a big project by any account. So
yes, and those roles are pretty clearly set out in the statute. The council's role with regard to BDCP and so forth, then it coming back to the council in the
Ms.
future.
Garber, do you think this has anything to do with the comments we received that on the one hand, the council should wait until BDCP is completed and not do anything until that's done, and then the alternative, that BDCP should wait until the Delta Plan is done and then go back from scratch and start again? You don't have to answer that. Thank you.
I'll just say yes.
Thank you very much for doing this. Appreciate it.